Ness as well. Version. Right. Same. The pagan.
It will be a blessed be.
Blessed
So-
be.
So this is the
Amen.
explanation.
Amen is pretty.
Yeah, it's sort of like
Amen.
amen.
Is the same.
It makes the same. The closing thing.
Amen.
Closure.
And you remember, Ayurveda is quite easy to remember because it's Ayurveda.
Ayurveda.
Yeah.
Veda.
Life knowledge.
Are they fixing something outside? Are they trying to fix
They're
something?
dumping construction debris by the bundle.
Oh,
Oh.
That's what's happening. At least it's not plastic. I just try to think of it that way.
the size look like a rain.
Yeah, hope that is the last.
I checked.
Yeah.
And there's a sign. They're not allowed to dump plastic near water sources.
Mm.
It's not allowed. It's mostly cement blocks and gravel and rocks. Okay, all good.
Good, good.
I'm gonna need this morning. I need the red shorts for the session.
Okay, who's got the red shawl?
You can have them.
Give it back.
You can
Or is
use
it
it's just part of the session.
Oh,
You
okay.
can use that one if you want. Please. Part of my session. So it's kind of, let's imagine like, you know, how things work astrologically, how the moon operates. So how does, tell me something about the moon. How does it work in relation to planet Earth?
About the full moon.
It circles around.
Circles
Goes
around.
round.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the pattern?
Every 28 days, and it causes high tide, low tide,
Okay.
and also synchronized with female cycle.
Okay. So let's say you know you kind of tell the moon to stop doing that and just sort of follow a schedule, you know, and you know sort of you can have you know the moon can kind of like just stay still at a certain point, or maybe on Sunday it has to do this, and you know, and you can have a day off on Saturday, and your timetable for this month is you know 12 hours a day, or maybe you have to do a long 18-hour day of spinning on Wednesday. How's that going to work?
It's not gonna work.
So you know, like if you think about it, in the contemporary world, this is really what we're asking ourselves to do, is to go against nature in its biggest form. So, you know, the moon can't be told what to do, and proceeds in its own astrological way. And you know, the wisdom of being born a female is pretty much the same. So historically, women were known to follow a pattern that kind of reflected the moon cycle. So, you know, and obviously, you know, we're now in contemporary yoga world, you know, we're tending to use the word, you know, your moon cycle. So if you, you know, Pee Wee said today, if you have your moon cycle, and I don't think this is fairly new. I don't think people sort of were saying things like that 5-10 years ago, but now it's become our kind of standard, and people know what you're talking about. It's not completely, maybe not everybody, but certainly I think now, obviously, you guys know.
It's actually
what it
more
means.
cyclical than saying your period.
Yeah. Period is a very masculinized
Right, because
word as well. It has that, you know, it's like the pubis, you know, it's just sort of doesn't have that same resonance. So you know, back in the day, the pattern, you know, the pattern following nature often is reflected in the full moon and the new moon, and those energies pull people into the menstrual cycle. So although I'm not saying that you are dysfunctional in any way if this isn't what's happening in your body, and it's not, you know, like you don't have to try for this to happen, but traditional societies often who are connected to nature and operating with nature, they would, the women of those societies would tend to have the menstrual cycle on the new moon, and that's the kind of traditional classic happening in the world. So the draw of the new moon is into kind of coming in, the energy of drawing in, and in yoga the energy of menstruation is called apana. Okay, so when you studied your 200-hour teacher training, which everybody here is either almost finished or has finished, you'll know a little bit about prana
if you want,
and apana.
if you want a little review of the vayus, which I think those of you that are in the 200 now, we've not discussed yet, and we have not discussed yet. So
it's good that came up.
a little bit later after lunch, if it's possible, to do a 15-minute review on the values.
Okay. So apana is energetic movement, so not a physical movement. And apana actually applies to biological functions like excretion. So when you go to the toilet, that's apana.
Anything that the force that draws stuff from the holes downstairs.
So that would apply to birth, for example. And when we kind of get to the point of the nesting instinct in later stages of pregnancy, the natural feeling is to be grounded next to the earth. Even in birth, the natural thing to do is to get on the floor. And this is, no one has to tell you this if you're listening. You get on the freaking floor. It's like, that is what's being, that is the message, Don't go on a hospital bed. No.
And this is the most unnatural, unnatural way.
That ain't apana. Nobody goes to the toilet like that. Let's face it. If I told you, like, okay, it's like,
go take a shit now.
You wonder why people are making weird facial expressions, obviously. The gravitational force of our sacred blood is apana. So that is often, in nature, in societies who are connected to nature and agriculture, that was the pull of the new moon, was into the red tent, into the the natural aponic flow of the universe. So now let's have a look at these kind of concepts which give us some of the key concepts that we're going to talk about today.
You stop
Okay.
show apana.
Yeah.
You stop covering
Okay.
apana on them.
So
Yes.
okay, I want you to just think. Also, you know, let's think about Hatha Yoga for a minute. Okay, so Hatha Yoga, chakra system.